Okay, I'm filthy. Just a quick video for the installing coilovers on the rear of a V70R. I see a lot of, there were videos basically on, I don't know. It wasn't like very clear how to do it on a wagon. I'm sure it's the same on the S60R, but I figured I might as well show it now that I have it taken apart and figured out. So, first and foremost, on the fronts, probably should have shown that while I was out. The fronts are super simple. The 2 bolts into the bottom of the fork, those come out. Sway bar bolt. Okay, those 2 across were 18 millimeter on one side, 21 on the other. So buzz them off with an impact gun or by hand, whatever. Sway bar is an 18. That buzzes right off. I mean, unless yours is old, then you have to hold it in the middle and use a wrench, but that buzzes right off. Let me see if I can show without taking it off. Can I show you guys? Okay. So I did, look, let me see if I can. I did make a little bracket to put the potentiometer or whatever that is. See how I just sandwiched a piece of aluminum with a hole and I put the potentiometer back in. As it stands right now, I have not cut out the resistors or whatever they're called. Capacitors, resistors, whatever fancy stuff. I have not cut those out yet to trick the system because I'm just doing things one at a time. Right now I'm just physically trying to install the coilovers. Then I'll figure out height, and then I will cut the resistors out to trick the system. Obviously you trace that line up into the engine bay. The fronts are simple. You just unclip them and they come right out. So the 2 bolts, 18, 21 this way, 3 on top are 13s sticking up. Boom, you buzz those. You pull the ABS bracket out, which is just a rubber grommet. You undo that 8 millimeter potentiometer. And so 2 bolts, strut bar, 18 this way, ABS, potentiometer 8 millimeter, 3 off on the top, and it just easily comes out. So the front is extremely simple. I had never done this suspension before, obviously, and I got the fronts done in an hour, including fabricating, I mean, if you want to call it fabricating, little angle grinder I have, and then making myself something to position those in the same spot. I immediately got the warning, obviously, because nothing's plugged in, but I don't want to hack up my stock suspension in case I'm unhappy with the coilovers or anything like that. I want to be able to return them. So let me show you the rear. Okay, and for all the debate, that's definitely Volvo, and that's definitely I forget what it's how you read this, but 32nd week of 2006. This is a 2006 V70R. So Monroe was always the manufacturer from a certain point on. I'm sure there was Sachs or a different brand. Maybe Volvo themselves made it originally, because everybody says, oh, the Monroes don't last or whatever. Hey, these lasted a long time, but I'm gonna say these have 150,000 miles. And the car lived in, I think, Pennsylvania or somewhere the first 2 years or 3 years, so it's awesome use. There's a little bit of this, especially on the back, but the front actually looks pretty perfect, aside from, you know, the basic stuff. Here are the resistors we'll have to cut out. They're in here on the back, and then on the front, they're somewhere in the bottom of the shock. So I have to read up on where to cut again, but I'm not too concerned with that right now. Here are the clips that need to be undone. Pretty much when they're clipped in, there's a little double clip you'll see on this side of it, and you just push it down and then these pop right out. So not bad. Anyway, let me show you the rear, because that's what everyone's here for. So on the rear, I had a really hard time figuring this out because I was winging it and going off of what people said, but I did throw a ratchet strap between the 2 lower control arms. Boom, boom. Click, 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 as tight as I could do it, just to give yourself a little clearance. There's one, well, I want to say 13, another 13 back here. Can you see it? Because I can't. It's back there, trust me, there it is. And then one fitting down here, and just knock it off the little nub. And then here's the wiring for the potentiometer. I was able to unclip the other side. I know some people say, oh, you can't trace it and you gotta uncut it, and I don't know. Supposedly the passenger side is the harder side, so I'm gonna do my best. It does, the top bracket slides into this little holder. If you can pop that off, which I was able to on the other side, it gives you much more access to be able to unclip it properly. So I know some people just snip it. At the end of the day, if you can solder 2 wires, you could technically just snip it and be done with it. But I'm gonna try to unclip it properly. So you got those 2, boom, boom. The 15 on the bottom, you figure, all right, cool, let me start prying. I started using a pry bar going to town. Oh my gosh, what the heck is holding it? If there was something holding it, it wouldn't have been able to move this much. Yeah, there's something else holding it. And it's up here. And you don't have to take all of that off to get to it. It's literally right under this. I just lift this, pull this little pad out. I guess it's a dust pad. It's very cute. Pull this out. And then you get at that 10 millimeter that's missing here. Take that out. The whole assembly drops out. Then you got a 18 on top, which I was able to use the impact gun. It kept spinning, but I kept backing it out, going back down until it came off. So I got that off. You do not need a spring compressor. It's not under that much tension. And I had face down, ass up, so my rear should have been under pressure, and it was not. So you don't need that. I don't know. Here's the other one with the bolt back in, with the BC Racing coilovers in. Now, I remember watching one review where the guy said he set it all the way to low and it wasn't low enough. With the way that I had to jack the rear spindle back up to get the bolt to line up in comparison to stock, I'm gonna say that it's probably gonna sit pretty low as it came out of the box. So I'll adjust it after. I don't want to slam it, and I'll just see how it rides. I can't imagine it's got to ride a hell of a lot better than fully blown out 152,000 mile Monroe 4C struts. But I definitely want to keep the throttle mapping in advanced versus comfort. So I would rather have the suspension just feel the same all the time and then have that. So that's up next. And that's all. Okay, last little addendum. I was able to find the passenger clip. I don't know why they didn't just put it in the same spot, but here's the gas tank. Is that wide? Okay, here's the gas tank. Oh, come on. And there is the end of the plug. So that's where it is. I reached my fingers over the edge there and just unclipped it from the holder. I don't know if that was a mistake, because I highly doubt I'll be able to put it back on, but that's how you get to it. I'm pretty sure I can unclip it. In reality, it's a 2-wire plug. You're almost better off just snipping it at the, on the back end and then just soldering it after. I mean, this is ridiculous. Annoying. Thanks, Volvo. Okay, one last tip. There is one of those metal tab clips that goes over. It's tight. So there's a metal tab clip that goes over the edge up there, right? Reach your finger and feel for it, and then just push it off of that. Once you push it off of that, here, let me see if I can lay this down. Once you push it off of that, it drops down enough to be able to unclip and clip it back in. So more than likely, I will zip tie all of this. When I take the potentiometer out, I'll zip tie all of this and then put it up here somewhere, but at least this allows me to clip it back into place. There we go. Okay, keep working it. Keep kind of maneuvering it and playing with it from the driver's side, and it actually will release, and it drops down low enough to be able to zip tie it out of the way and plug it back in when you're done. So I will be using the plug and not cutting.